There's something strange going on inside Ferrari. Lewis Hamilton, the most experienced, decorated driver in the modern era, just admitted he doesn't understand Ferrari's latest upgrade. Let that sink in. This is a man who's driven the most sophisticated machines Formula One has ever built, who's shaped entire car concepts with his feedback. And now in Austria, he's stepping into an upgraded SF-25 and saying it's not the normal information. This isn't just confusion, it's code red. And what you're about to learn isn't just about an upgrade. It's about a misfire at the highest level of engineering, a disconnect between car and driver that could decide the future of Ferrari's rebuild. And whether Lewis Hamilton was brought in to drive or to rescue. Let's be clear, an upgraded floor in F1 isn't just a piece of carbon fiber. It's the aerodynamic soul of the car. It dictates downforce balance, corner entry grip, ride height tolerances, and, most critically, how the car behaves at the limit. So when Lewis says the numbers aren't normal, that's not just a weird data readout. That's a fundamental break in correlation between Ferrari's simulation tools and on-track behavior. Which means one thing, Ferrari is flying blind. When you're not sure how much load you've added, when you can't predict performance deltas from your own wind tunnel, you're not developing, you're gambling. And this isn't Monaco, this is Formula One. You don't bet with guesses, you bet with gigabytes of simulation, you bet with trust. And right now, Lewis doesn't trust what he's feeling. You could hear it in his tone, not panic, worse, detachment, like a pilot flying a jet where the instrument panel flashes green, but the wings don't feel right. He knows something's off. He just can't prove it yet. Let's talk about what this really means. Ferrari builds cars based on structure, process, models. Their design philosophy is math-forward. Every line of telemetry, every upgrade iteration must align with the data pipeline. But Lewis Hamilton? He doesn't drive through numbers. He drives through feel. He trusts what the car tells him, not just what the simulation predicts. And when his feedback doesn't match the model, he speaks up, loudly. Here's the part no one's saying. This isn't just about whether the upgrade works. It's about a fight for Ferrari's technical soul. Leclerc is Ferrari's data disciple. His style syncs with the sim. His feedback aligns with their methods. But Lewis breaks the model. He'll brake 3 meters later, change his rotation point based on wind shift, mid-corner micro-adjust his throttle even if the delta says it'll cost him. That's why his feedback confuses engineers trained to expect repeatable inputs. It's not that Hamilton's wrong, it's that he's right in a way they can't explain. So when he says the upgrade doesn't bring the normal information, he's not just reporting a glitch. He's exposing a system that's not built for his brain. And here's the killer. Ferrari might not be able to adapt fast enough. The full upgrade package won't even be ready until Silverstone. Rear suspension reworks, load balancing corrections, ride stability fixes. But if the floor already isn't correlating, the foundation of the whole concept, then everything built on top of it, it's a tower on sand. Hamilton isn't focused on this weekend. He's focused on 2026. He said it himself, foundation building. That's a polite way of saying this year's a write-off. But here's the uncomfortable truth. If Ferrari can't sync their upgrade path to Hamilton's driving language now, what makes you think they'll do it under a brand new regulation set? Because the problem isn't the car, it's the translation layer between what the car is doing and what Hamilton feels. Until that bridge is built, Ferrari is just throwing parts at a champion who's trained to smell dysfunction from miles away. He didn't leave Mercedes to become a beta tester. He came to lead. And if this upgrade doesn't land, the whispers won't be about downforce, they'll be about control. And trust me, when a legend loses faith in the system doesn't survive. Let's not sugarcoat it. Valtteri Bottas, the man who shared a garage wall with Lewis Hamilton for 5 straight years, just said the quiet part out loud. It's not rocket science. That's how he described the transition from Mercedes to Ferrari power, brakes, and systems. Why does this matter? Because Bottas isn't some ex-teammate on a nostalgia trip. He's the only man who's lived both realities, Mercedes dominance and Ferrari unpredictability. And when he says the move was Quite straightforward for him, he's doing more than downplaying the difficulty. He's subtly questioning whether Lewis Hamilton's problems at Ferrari are more mental than mechanical. And what that implies changes everything. Let's get specific. Bottas lays out what's actually different between the two setups. Power unit drivability, how torque comes in, especially in low RPM zones. Energy harvesting and deployment, the mapping, the strategy names, the tactile feedback. Brake feel and behavior. Brembo versus carbon industry, particularly in warm-up. And then he says this, that's it really. So if all of that, the torque curve, the brake pedal, the Regan strategy, if all that is manageable, then why is Hamilton still underperforming? The answer may lie in something no dataset can track. Muscle memory. 12 years at Mercedes hardwired Hamilton's body to expect responses that Ferrari simply doesn't deliver. He isn't just relearning a new car, he's unlearning a championship-winning reflex system, where Bottas adapted quickly, maybe because he never built a driving religion around one philosophy. Hamilton's feedback loop is more deeply coded. His every micro-movement was forged in the Mercedes crucible. Now, every corner, every braking zone, every torque spike, it's betraying that internal rhythm. That's why Bottas' comment stings, not because it's dismissive, but because it might be true. Let's go deeper. Adaptation in Formula One isn't just technical, it's identity level. Hamilton's driving style isn't late braking or smooth throttle. It's the result of a feedback ecosystem between him and Mercedes that matured over a decade. He didn't just drive their car, he designed it with his instincts. So when Bottas says it's not rocket science, he's revealing something brutal. Maybe the challenge Lewis is facing isn't the Ferrari. Maybe it's the fact that for the first time in years, he's in a car that doesn't trust his instincts. And here's where it gets even darker. Ferrari, historically, doesn't redesign cars around new drivers. They expect drivers to conform to the Scuderia's system. Leclerc did. Sainz did. Hamilton? He's not just trying to win races, he's trying to change Ferrari's philosophy from inside the cockpit. Bottas didn't have to, he adapted. But Hamilton isn't built that way. He breaks models, not follows them. That's why he's struggling. He's not underperforming, he's resisting. And resistance in a team like Ferrari isn't always rewarded, it's remembered. Here's the part no one's brave enough to say. Bottas is right, it's not rocket science. But what if that's the problem? Hamilton is trying to operate on a higher plane, to bring feel into a system obsessed with numbers, to make the car an extension of his body, not just a machine with predictable response curves. That does take rocket science. That takes artistry. And that's why this isn't a story of Lewis is past it. It's a story of a driver trying to teach an old team new tricks, while that team is still trying to fit him into a box shaped like Leclerc. Bottas adapted. Hamilton is trying to evolve Ferrari itself. And if they meet him halfway, we'll stop talking about points deficits and start talking about legacies rewritten. Because when Hamilton finally cracks the Ferrari code, there will be no going back. James Vowles has spent more time decoding Lewis Hamilton's mindset than almost anyone in Formula One. He's not just a team boss now at Williams. He was the brain behind Mercedes' strategy juggernaut. The guy in the headset during every crucial decision between 2013 and 2023. And now, he's breaking the silence. Lewis hasn't got the specific elements he needs to feel strength from the car. That sentence isn't just a technical observation, it's a diagnosis. And when you read between the lines, it reveals something no one else is saying out loud. Lewis Hamilton might not be struggling because Ferrari is difficult. He might be struggling because he's finally not in control. Let's break it down. When James Vowles says Lewis needs specific elements, he's not talking about upgrades. He's talking about feel, the kind of unspoken confidence that comes from knowing exactly how a car will respond before it does anything. At Mercedes, that feedback loop was instinctive. Telemetry, setup, tire warm-up, all of it was tailored to Lewis's internal rhythm. But Ferrari, that rhythm's broken. The SF-25 doesn't speak Lewis's language. It under-rotates in medium-speed corners. It punishes aggressive brake releases. And worst of all, it doesn't build confidence. It demands trust before it gives you anything back. That's not how Lewis drives. He builds confidence lap by lap. He probes, senses, tightens the loop until the car dances on command. Right now, the SF-25 is dancing to a different tune. Let's be brutally honest. The media loves easy answers. Hamilton's lost it. Leclerc is faster. Ferrari can't build a car. But when the man who architected Mercedes' golden era says, Lewis just hasn't got the confidence yet, but I have zero doubt he'll be there. That's not optimism, that's insider confirmation. Confirmation that Lewis's issues aren't physical, they're sensory. And Ferrari, for all its upgrades and evolutions, still hasn't built him the sensory foundation he needs. Here's the real kicker. You can see it in moments. He and Charles are this close. That's not a compliment. That's a warning shot. Because if Lewis Hamilton is only tenths off Leclerc without confidence, imagine what happens when the pieces click. Miami was a preview. When he feels it, even briefly, he's faster. Which means this version of Lewis we're watching now is the worst he'll be in red. And if Ferrari finally gives him what he needs, Charles won't just have competition, he'll have a problem he can't solve with raw pace alone. Everyone wants to treat this season as Hamilton's fall from grace. They point to the standings, the lack of wins, the missed apexes. But they're missing the plot. This isn't decline. This is adaptation. The hard, brutal kind that turns champions into legends. James Vowles knows it. Ferrari's engineers are learning it. And if we're watching closely, we're witnessing the most dangerous version of Hamilton emerge. The one with nothing to prove and everything to unlock. So keep laughing at the qualifying gaps. Keep praising Leclerc's one-lap magic. Because the longer Hamilton stays just behind, the closer he gets to breaking through. And when he does, it won't be about points. It'll be about rewriting what a driver can become when the world thinks he's fading.